little pre-show that we do every day. Answer some questions off of Facebook, YouTube. Feel the pulse of the people. We have Michael in studio today from North Carolina.
Michael Nagy.
Michael Nagy.
Yeah, like that pitcher Charles Nagy. I think he was in Cleveland Indian back in the day.
Yeah?
Yeah. Very cool. All right. He's got a good handshake, too. He almost crushed my hand.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have a defense for strong handshakes, but I was coming in so quick putting stuff down that I got a little sloppy there, and he got me. You got me, man. But there's a defense to it. I learned it through getting crushed by Dad's hand over the years. So all it is it allows you not to get crushed. You can't be a crusher unless you have strong hands, and I have, I guess, okay hands, but they're not strong hands.
Don Fry has a good one, too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don Fry? Okay.
He's on my all-handshake team.
I think there's some people that naturally, like, just that's their squeeze, and I think there's others that try and do it in the moment. Look at me, you know what I mean? Like, he looks like he just has a strong squeeze no matter what. And then there's others that purposely, like, oh, I got to shake this guy's hand. I got to come strong, you know, whatever. Like, maybe somebody's meeting their girlfriend's dad for the first time. And
Yeah.
And then in reality, it's not the strongest squeeze. It's going to be a fun show today. We'll cover some news. We'll also talk to Liam McGeary and James Gallagher, who fight at Bellator 173. Speaking of Bellator, Paul Daly versus Rory McDonald. So Rory McDonald came over from the UFC late last year, middle of last year, actually, middle of 2016, as a highly coveted free agent. And he did state he would need some time off, but he wanted to come back in the summer of 2017. And I guess May qualifies. It's the early part of the summer. He'll be taking on Paul Daly, who's coming off a solid win. Like 2 weeks ago? He delivered the knee to Brennan Ward. Now, I really wanted to see Paul Daly versus MVP, Michael Venom Page. They were talking some smack to each other. Have you seen the assault that MVP put on him on social media?
Yeah. Speaking of assault, well, I don't know if you could say assault. Charles Oakley, did you see that?
What happened there? I only saw a highlight, and it wasn't at home, so I wasn't able to do the old, the DVR and rewind. But I did see him kind of getting escorted out of an arena or something like that.
Yeah, he shoved the security guard, and then a bunch of other security guards came, and they had to kind of look like Cleon and the Warriors, like they just surrounded him and took him out.
Wow, that never goes well. Hey, Goes, let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, I was able to comment and reply to people. Today, I didn't. Is it something in the settings when you launch the show?
No, everything's the same every day.
Really?
Yeah. What do you mean you
This
can't?
is a
you
trip.
Can't reply to someone right now?
I can, but it's a general reply, not a direct reply. Like Carmen Wetzel says, "Hi, babies." So usually, right underneath it'll say reply, and I can hit reply, and I can reply to her, "Hi, Carmen." Whereas right now, the only thing I can do is reply kind of generally to everyone, not specifically. All I can do is like or pin a comment.
I'll reply to her.
Babies! They're babies!
Kersley Elizar Zacharias is watching from the Philippines. The Filipino flag is cool. I like that flag.
Yeah, that one's got flavor.
I recognize that one easy. Let's see here. Mary Skelly. Did you see Chaz Skelly in Houston? Another win, baby. Let's get him on the Dallas UFC card. That sounds like a Skelly relative there.
Yeah.
Maybe a wife, a mom, a sister. And identify yourself, Mary Skelly. I did see it, and I reached out to Chaz Skelly. I must have the wrong number because he didn't hit me back.
You know who reached out to us?
Who?
Jared Brooks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on and.
Well, that's on Friday. He's scheduled for Friday.
Oh, he's already scheduled?
He's scheduled for Friday, yeah. But I really did reach out to Chaz Skelly, but I didn't hear anything back. Solid 145-pounder, and remember, that's a second favorite division of mine. It's stacked, though. I was taking a look at the rankings, and he's definitely top 20. Some would argue top 15. But USA Today Sports and MMAjunkie combines UFC, Bellator, all of the worldwide featherweights. We're not just a UFC ranking. And the UFC is probably top 10, but worldwide. There's Charles Oakley. Hold on a second. What is he, a coach, Goes?
No, I think he's just in the stands.
Oh, he's in the stands? He's in a suit. Huh. Wow, he aged. Look at his hair.
Aren't we? Dude, that was a long time ago.
I guess, yeah.
That was one of the funner teams to ever. One of my favorite all-time teams.
The Knicks.
Yeah, that
Mason
team was fun. They got physical. They had good
Latrell.
mechanics. You know, like Oakley and Mason, they
Yeah.
weren't like scoring powerhouses, but they
They
rebounded.
did their
played
part.
Defense.
They did their parts. Yeah, defense.
Hey, aren't we
No
supposed
easy
to have family
buckets.
here today?
Hmm?
Aren't we supposed to have family here today?
They're gonna come later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you reach out to Randa
Guys
Marcos?
are up in a minute.
I can help you contact her. Yeah, Chasm.
Hi.
Email me. My first name at
Hi,
George.
Danny.
Sorry, my first name at MMAjunkie.com. Email me her contact info. I prefer the email. You can, if you have number and email, send it to me. Otherwise, I'll start off with email, especially when it comes to the females. I don't like to creep them out with just a text out of nowhere.
I don't like creeping out females. You know, when we take pictures, I don't even put my arm around them anymore.
Really?
So if you watch all the pictures that
You
we've
don't wanna get
taken,
armpit-
I put one here and then one like here, like that.
You don't want to get armpit juice on them?
Nah, Mia Hamm kind of screwed everything up for me.
I have that
30.
picture. I found that picture recently.
Did you?
Yeah. Let's see here. Hello from the United Kingdom. It's Rich Hearn. Hello, Rich. Jeremy Deschner from Yokohama, Japan.
Wow.
What do we say over there? Arigato? No, that's thank you, right?
Thank you.
What's hello?
Konnichiwa?
Konnichiwa. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Mary
go
Skelly
inside.
is the mom.
All right, here we go.
Ah. You should be
Stand
proud,
up.
Mom. He's a beast. He's a good fighter.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McGeary Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
All right, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yes!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space,
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
we've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology, MMA Junkie Radio, commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our East co-host. Back east, he's going to handle all the producing duties. It's Danny. This is the show that matters, for crying out loud. We got 5 of these, so we have a new audience all the time on Facebook. They have to know that they're tuning into something that matters.
I believe so.
Yeah.
If we didn't, we wouldn't be here, right?
Shout out to Chaz Skelly's mom. She's watching. That was Chaz Skelly's mom that was
Hi.
tuning in. And
We've had a fighter's mom on before, haven't we? Back in the day, didn't we have someone's mom come on? It was Jeremy Jackson's mom. She's come on the show.
that's Mamita on the
Mamita.
Underground.
And then we've had, I thought we had another one too.
Her name's Mamita.
I like talking
on
to
the
moms because
Underground.
they keep it real. They tell you exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Rhonda's mom keeps it real, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
I'd love to have her on the show one day. I just think she's a fascinating woman. Tells the truth. And not because I think there's an angle there. Hey, what do you think of Edmund? Next thing you know, it's a
Yeah.
headline.
I
just
would have
think
her
she's
on.
actually pretty interesting lady, and she fits the mold of having participated in combat sports.
I would even be cool with not even asking one Rhonda question, just getting her take on stuff. She's real interesting.
What's her business? It has to do with video game development, right, or something like that?
Well, I know she's a psychiatrist, right? But I don't know.
I mean, she's
I don't
got
know
a
if she
doctorate,
practices.
but I don't know what the
Yeah.
deal is.
I don't know.
yeah.
She really video games?
Yeah, something like that.
Huh.
I'll get you the info, and you can take a look at it. If you think there's an angle there to talk about that, because I know you're part of that world, and also tie in just we think you're cool. We think you're a legit person from the
Well-
combat sports world, we'll do it.
A lot of our audience plays video games, and because I get hit up all the time by like EA Sports, those type of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's definitely a crossover.
All right. So what Chad Skelly's mom was saying was get him on the Dallas card. He's a Dallas kid, fought in Houston, and I'm all for that. I think if you're from a certain area, then get yourself on that card. Like I saw Valentina Shevchenko, who lives in Lima, Peru, but spends a lot of time in Houston. Her and Derek Lewis would have been great for that Houston card, but they needed them on these other cards. Like Lewis fights in about a week or two in Nova Scotia. Valentina was headlining the card with Juliana Pena. Actually, Lewis will be headlining as well, but he wasn't originally. He was on the Brooklyn card. So I think the UFC was just scrambling for big names at the beginning of the year. Otherwise, they really do try and do it. So I would say, Mrs. Skelly, that your son probably has a good chance. That card's not till May, and anytime you can bring local fighters in, I think that has an extra pop to it. That's a pay-per-view too.
Yeah. I want you to co-sign on something. I was telling Michael, who's here in studio from North Carolina, and Danny that you once saw a zit form on your face.
I did.
And we're all used to just waking up and it's there.
It's there.
Or sometimes you even look in the mirror and you go do something, you come back, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
You say that you saw it happen.
I saw it happen.
No, that's like Bigfoot, right?
So if somebody were to ask me, how does a zit form? I couldn't tell you, well, the molecules and the pores and you're clogged or you're this or you're that. No, I could just tell you that it happens like that.
Where was it?
It was, I don't know, but it was in the bathroom in front of a mirror.
I know that.
So I don't know if maybe I was putting in eye drops. This is what I do in front of a mirror. I look for ear hairs because we have uncles that have ear hairs. And I remember as a kid, I go, ugh, I never want to have that. So
what are ear hairs?
Ear hairs. As you get older, you never notice bushy eyebrows on certain men.
Oh, inside the hole?
No, not inside the hole, but just around the ear.
Huh.
And they start to come in, right? And so those can be just, in my opinion, I don't know. I think they're. Let me see. You want me to see?
Do I have them?
No, you're in the peach fuzz stage, but you just get them.
Oh, wow.
So I look in there and I check it out. So I'll do that. Obviously, there's flossing. There's something. I couldn't tell you what it was that day, but that day I was just there, and as I was sitting there, I just saw it. It's same little routine. Just squeeze a little bit, and boom, it was gone.
This all started from, I was telling them that Tommy one time he whistled while he was speaking, and he's never been able to do that. I guess you're not supposed to do that. He had his mouth wide open, and he was even tripping like, "Are you hearing this?" And I was like, "Holy shit!" And so then that led to, you know what else George has done that nobody's ever seen?
I don't think I could ever see it again unless I just stand in the mirror. For one, I don't really get zits, so it'd have to be like maybe a couple days of just sweating or whatever and not showering, and your dirt builds up, oil builds up, and then maybe it would happen. And then I have to stare at the mirror. So the chance of that is like literally like lightning striking me.
Do you remember my buddy Juan, tall, skinny guy?
Yeah.
He claims that one time he was really drunk and he sneezed with his eyes open.
I don't think it can happen.
Well, I didn't know that. I knew that, or people say that, right? And I think that is a fact. But what I didn't know was
He probably coughed.
the reason is because your eyeball will fall out. Or
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
That's what Danny said.
Really?
Danny, are you the one that said that?
Yeah, I just said it. It just happened before the show.
So your eyeball will shoot
There are
out.
people that sometimes have a cough that's similar to a sneeze, or a sneeze that you thought you were going to sneeze and it turns out to be a cough. He probably just got confused halfway through.
I'm not a medical official, but I thought
No.
maybe it like popped out of the socket or something.
Hey, this is, I swear to God, George, this is how the conversation all came about. It started with every day there's about a group of 3 different people that come by and they wave. And I like to give
Mandalay
a dumb,
Bay employees?
stupid, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all 3 of them Mandalay Bay. And I always give a dumb wave. And I noticed that by the time I'm done, you look to see who it is. There's never anyone there. And I was telling them, I think George thinks I'm just making this up.
Or
like I'm
stealing a pen or something.
doing something
like,
stupid, right?
Yeah. And
And it just happened right now. Did you see the lady? You saw her, right? And she has like a funny wave, right? So that's how all of us started.
okay. Tell me what you think about Daly and McDonald.
Well, I think a lot of people wanted to see Daly MVP. That'd be fun, King of England. But I'm not, anything that has Daly in it, how do you not want to watch it?
Right.
You know what Daly's going to do, and you know what Rory's going to do.
For a while.
The thing is, though, they can't have that exchange for 5 rounds, 3 rounds. They can't do it. Somebody's going to go down. It ain't going to be pretty.
For a while, the featherweight division, I thought, was one of their marquee divisions. When they had Alvarez, Brooks, and Chandler, I thought lightweight was in there. But slowly, I think welterweight's starting to turn into their marquee division. You got MVP, you got Daly, you have Lima, you have Korshkov, you have McDonald now.
Maybe even Lorenz Larkin soon. You never know.
Yeah, we're hearing Bader's getting an offer tendered, or maybe did get an offer tendered to him, which the UFC they have the rights to match. And Dana White's already saying we probably won't match, but I guess you'd have to look at the offer first. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is Lorenz is another one that I guess is in chats with him. So this is a great matchup. I think I was hoping for MVP versus Daly. MVP needs an upgrade in competition. So I thought that would have been a nice step up for him to see where they sat, and I thought the whole UK angle and them calling each other out also would have worked for me.
The one thing, though, don't sleep on Paul Daly. One thing that has happened with some of these guys that have come over to Bellator, that opening fight has not always gone everybody's way. You know, look at Benson Henderson, right?
Got crushed by Korshkov.
Yeah, so Paul Daly hits like a truck.
No, I'm not sleeping on him one bit. By the way, going back to our guests, Liam McGeary and James Gallagher, just so you all know, 1:45 p.m. Eastern, 2:45 p.m. Eastern. So they're both at the end of each hour. That's 10:45 a.m. Pacific, 11:45 a.m. Pacific. That means the first part of each hour is wide open to take your calls at 866-522-2846. Watch, I'm going to get this one out of the way. He's a pro. He knows how to get it done. But come in, man. Come in and just let's chat about mixed martial arts or anything that's on your mind. Combat sports, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, you name it, we're in. We'll talk about it. We even dabble into talking about the other sports because we're just sports fans across the board. And I'm still hearing great talk shows talking about the Super Bowl and Atlanta's meltdown and what they should have done and they shouldn't have done. And I'm still enjoying it. So
remember when we used to call it the Super Bowl? They went through that streak of like
Bullets.
5 or 6 games that just weren't good.
And there's been some
now they're
classics.
competitive.
Yeah. All right. So this is Rick from Alaska, and the lines are wide open again. 866-522-2846. Hello, Rick. How you doing?
Hey guys, get your pen and paper ready if you haven't heard about this one yet, George. I'm recommending to anyone, if you don't have a Showtime subscription yet, you might want to consider it if you're a Muay Thai fan, because they're having a new show come out called Prison Fighters 5 Rounds to Freedom. Have you heard of this yet?
No. What happens?
It's Showtime. They're doing a full-length documentary about 2 different people in Thailand fighting in the prison system for their freedom. It's all real. I guess there's a old law in Thailand that if you're a prisoner and if you win a certain amount of Muay Thai matches, you can go free. So there's a guy in there who's been in prison, I guess, 5 years for some sort of knife assault. And he's going to go fight these Muay Thai fights in the prison system. And if he wins them, he can get out of jail. But if he loses them, he's back in jail. So I think that's that's like every 80s action movie that we liked back in the day, kind of in real life nowadays. I think and they're doing like the documentary, like countdown style presentation. They interview him, they interview his family, like his kid hasn't seen him in forever. And he's talking about if he wins these fights, he won't be a prisoner anymore. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm not much of a Muay Thai guy. I know you guys are, but that book is already.
If you were the one that got stabbed, you would want to see this fool get out.
Yeah, there's a lot wrong with this.
Well, okay,
Look,
there was a movie.
I'll probably tune in, but there's a lot wrong with this because I would say if it was maybe like Red from Shawshank, 40 years in, pretty well rehabilitated.
He'd have to win like 100 chess matches.
Yeah, then
so
maybe in some sort of a sporting event, all right, he gets out. But, I mean, you're opening the doors for people to just have that get out of jail card. Let's go rob a bank. If we rob it and we get away with it, we got the loot. And if we don't, well, you know what? I'm pretty good at Muay Thai anyway. I can maybe get in that tournament and get out.
I'm hoping that there's some kind of law, like maybe they have to be in for a certain amount of time and the crime has to be under something. I would imagine, right? But there's a movie with Jason Statham where they're like racing cars or something in a prison system. And it was that same thing where if you win a certain amount, you get taken out or something like that. I don't remember what it's called.
Again, if they've reached a certain stage where they feel like they're probably on the verge of maybe getting out soon enough, then I guess. I don't know. More details would be necessary.
What the fuck were you Googling that this came up, Rick?
Watching boxing on Showtime. I've never liked boxing, and I started getting really into it this past half year. And Floyd Mayweather, he's doing Like, he's a presenter now, and they're having a boxing event every weekend or every other weekend. They're championship boxing on Showtime. So basically, after every fight night, boxing's on. So and they've been just showing trailers for it. So
isn't it cool to hear Morrow's voice?
Yeah, no, I like Morrow. I mean, he's on SmackDown. I don't really watch that, but I hear his voice in both areas. And that guy, he was the announcer for Strikeforce too, right? So it's just like he's got every end of the fighting spectrum covered. It's pretty cool. And I don't know, the documentary show could be cool. And like you guys said, maybe there's a person you think should stay in jail, so you watch it, kind of hoping they lose their fights. And I know there's the thrill, agony, and defeat on UFC. Someone lost their title, they're real disappointed. I really kind of want to see a guy lose a fight and have to stay in prison for 10 more years. Like, that's the thrill and agony but I'm a sadist, so, I take enjoyment out of seeing certain people lose. That's kind of why I watch the sport, too. If I don't like a person, I really want to see him not win. So if I don't like a criminal and he gets his ass kicked, I get to see the repercussions. Maybe his son's all distraught and stuff. That's the sort of thing, though, that I find enjoyment in. The small little victories. Anyways, I'll let you guys go. You have a good one.
All right, take care.
Hey, did we tell you about the Junkie Gathering in July? Rick's starting to scare me a little bit.
Yeah. Is Rick coming?
I think he may pull something off at the end, like he did the other year.
Really?
Yeah.
What about Mr. Nagy over there? Is he going to come to the Junkie Gathering?
He's working on it.
He's working on it? Well, let me guess. You have to talk to the wife? Is that what it is? That's why I come down on Erin. Erin is fucking waking up and bringing her breakfast in bed and sucking her toes and just lifting her up and treating her like a queen, for everything she does right. And you do this, you build it up, and next thing you know, he presents the ring and they have kids. 20 years into the marriage, Erin, you want to go? I got to ask Veronica. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to mold them early so that what he does is goes, Veronica, don't forget, me and the boys, the yearly trip. See you in about a week.
You got to plant the seed.
That's the way. Yeah, you plant the seed. You start doing it early. That's why I come down on these guys. No disrespect or anything, Mr. Nagy, but I don't know what kind of a boat you're in, but that's just kind of the way it works. You let them know early. People ask me, remember when Felice came in and we spanked her butt for the birthday?
Oh,
it was
yeah.
You and me. Did you participate or no?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it was me and
here's the thing.
Brandy.
I can say this
Jay?
now. Yeah, Jay.
Right, and somebody asked me, hey, man, Juliet ain't going to have a problem with that? I'm like, fuck no, it was just a spanking. This is a radio show. Like, it's not like I sat there and, groped it or anything. It was just I gave my 5, and I think we may have ran out, and I may have participated in another 5, and we were good. I don't think she said – I don't even remember if she said anything. If she did, she probably laughed it off. But, again, you just build out – what's Matt looking at? Has he got a problem or what?
I don't know.
He's leaning back just staring at me.
Yeah, Matt's been weird today. I don't know.
Oh, has he? All right. What were you going to say?
We got a really, really cool letter of intent this morning, George. Did you read it?
Was it the guy from France?
Yeah.
He's in?
Lucas Laval is coming all the way from France to hang out for the Junkie
No
Gathering.
shit.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. You see Nagy over there? He's like, God damn, the pressure's on now. If a guy from France is coming all the way over.
Yeah. I mean, we've had people come from Austria, right? Was that guy named Herman or something like that? He was cool. This Lucas from France.
Yeah.
We have people coming in from New Zealand, Australia. I'm psyched.
That's awesome.
And you went, and I took George yesterday to the venue, and you liked it, right?
I did, man. There really is going to be a cool event there. In America, and then I started working. I started getting a rash on my neck, and the reason is because I just wasn't used to material on my neck pressed up for 8 hours. Same thing with dress shoes. Your feet kind of hurt, so your body just is used to it. You see Sammy the Squid, he wears the suit a lot. Rob Cardenas, they're used to it, man. They can do it. Secret Service, they can protect the president with the suit on. You just have to get used to it. But my whole thing is, I do remember, I think it was your idea, you told everyone at the end of the Junkie Gathering, everyone dress up, right? Do you remember it was like one of the first couple? And I saw Buffalo Blue had his jacket on.
Oh, no, I didn't. They just did it.
They just did it on their own?
Yeah, they just did it.
I was sitting there watching them all going, man, that's fucking cool. They all had a jacket on. They all treated it like, I don't know if it was, hey, we all want to show that we've been varmints for the last 7 days, tearing the town down, drinking, getting kicked out of places, but that we're also classy and we're all going to be respectful, leaving the the arena, which in this case would be Mandalay Bay, and hanging out with Junkie Nation. But they all had a jacket on or a tie. They all tried the best to Did they have
I
Tom
like that
Ford
idea.
on? No. Nobody had a Conor McGregor suit, but everyone slicked up as much as they could. I would just tell Jason Lackey, look, just do the jeans, wear a jacket, take a picture or two, and then go up to your room and take it off and then be comfortable. But give it a shot. I hate suits, but I'm going to do it because I thought that was a cool environment. I think the idea is cool.
I don't know how to describe it, but when you walk in, you have that feel, like that vibe where you go, fuck, I want to be dressed up in here.
Yeah, that's what it is. All right, another thing. Speaking of announcing Mauro Ranallo, they're going with John Anik and Daniel Cormier at UFC 208 in Brooklyn this weekend. I hear there's still a permanent replacement, and that's been rumored as Jim Rome and Max Kellerman and who knows who else might be up for that. But that's not till the summer. Or maybe Anik will just stay. I don't know. I think Anik's outstanding. But Anik and Cormier will join Joe Rogan. What do you think of that announced team?
I like Anik.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gotten way better since when he first started, and it's not to say that he didn't do a good job when he first started. I think you just get comfortable in a role, and you start to learn your role, what it is amongst the guys that are around you. I like him. I think Cormier's good. I love Rogan. One thing I did hear from a listener is they said, I guarantee you Rogan and Cormier aren't going to agree on a lot of things.
What's wrong with that?
And I think it's because of their personalities, and I could maybe co-sign on that. I could probably see that. But, like you, what's wrong with that?
Well, why won't they agree?
Just they have different personalities. I could see them clash a little bit, but I think that's good sometimes. Not everybody should be agreeing.
Right.
Why'd you agree?
I don't know. Glover Teixeira said he's fighting Jared Cannonier, and he said, you know what? At one time, I was a no-name, so how could I say no to this fight? I thought, God, what a great explanation to why you accepted that fight, because Teixeira is one of the top. But you know how I feel about the UFC 205 division. It is thin. It is bare. So you just run out of names. He just got knocked out by – so he's fought Bader. He just got knocked out by Johnson. Has he fought Alex? I think they tried to make it one time, but they didn't. He's fought Jones. I mean, there's like 6 or 7 of them that have all fought each other. So you got to start putting some of these younger cats over. Either the veteran has it still, and the young guy got checked and has to develop, a la Felice and Grasso, or it's just that guy's time. Cannonier's something special, and he got over on the veteran.
Glover had a weird coming up in the industry because the hardcores all knew who he was, right? The guy that trains with Chuck Liddell. He's a beast. Nobody wanted to fight him. I think that's what happened. I think the rumor just got out that how tough he was. And then he had the problems where he couldn't come into the United States.
I think it was
for a
visa
right?
problem,
He
an
had a
immigration
visa
problem. I think he may have overstayed his welcome in the United States, and so that came back to bite him. I think, these are going off the terrible memory here, but
we knew about him.
Eventually,
for a
he circled
long
back.
time.
It got straightened out. He's a good guy, and he'll be doing his thing this weekend at UFC 208. All right, I hear the music. Let's get this big break out of the way, and when we come back, let's try and blast through some calls. Looks like there's a couple coming in already, but there's some lines that are wide open. That means we can get you on quick. 866-522-2846. Let's talk UFC 208. Let's just talk anything that's going on in the world of mixed martial arts. I'm down to hear whatever you want to talk about, including Poland's KSW. They got their own stadium show, and they're gunning for the type of records that UFC 183 and UFC 129 produce, which was in that mid-50,000 range. And I heard they are it out in Poland. So who knows? Maybe they'll be able to do that. Karolina Kowalkiewicz actually came from that promotion. So they got some good fighters out there, and Poland's a breeding ground, and KSW's not letting go. They are not letting the UFC be the number one over there. They're the number one. The UFC's got their work cut out for them in that part of the region of the world. All right, we'll be right back after this break. So stop it. Now I know you're on my radar, and one day if I've been doing face-offs, so check it out. Check it out on MMA Junkie because we're putting up a lot of content. D. Randami, catching up with her, Tim Boach, Jim Miller. Jim Miller versus Dustin Poirier should not be overlooked. That both guys really need a win there.
Somebody came in this morning and said, I want to put together a parlay. And they said, I feel like Jacare is an absolute lock. And then,
don't say that word.
Man, what was the other one? I don't know. I just remember telling him, be careful what you're doing because I think there's a lot of sleepers on this card. I saw a lot of people were taking Durandami over Holm. I think this card is a lot closer than people feel it is. Oh, the other one was was Dustin Poirier in his lock. And I go, man, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm taking Jim Miller, but Jim Miller definitely has a skill set to end that fight. There's a lot of close fights on this card. Anderson Silva, Derek Brunson, what are you going to do there?
For a parlay to pay off, though, you do have to find a gem, and that gem has to be an underdog. If you find it and you hit it, it pays off. Now, I'm talking about those of us that just want to spend $20. If your budget isn't, fractured too bad by a $20 bet, but that 20 you can turn into like 500, then I'm in. Count me in. Otherwise, if you take favorites, 20 is going to pay you 60 or 80. Or you imagine sweating 5 fucking fights to win $90. I couldn't do that. At that point, I would just go, give me this guy to beat that guy, 100 to win 110, or something that's kind of even.
One fight.
One fight. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully that one hits, and I'm good. But when you're picking a bunch of favorites, I'm telling you, you saw it last week with OSP. He went down. Hamilton was a favorite. It's tough, man. It really is tough. And if you go all favorites, it's hard to make up ground if a couple lose. Even Hill gave Andrade a scare. When Andrade couldn't put her down, she kind of hit her a couple times. I mean, some people were risking $700 to win 100 on Andrade. If she loses, you're down 700. You got to hit 8 $100 bets just to make that 7 up. Can't do it. But the question now is, what's the dog? Okay. Can Anderson Silva beat Brunson? Yeah, he's plus 125.
We threw out the name Jared Brooks yesterday. It's a tough kid, man. You got a guy who hasn't fought in a long time.
Can Boach knock out Souza? Yeah. Will he? Probably not. But can he? Yes. He's plus 375. Can Miller maybe sub Poirier? He's got a good wrestling and jiu-jitsu game. Solid black belt. He could. He probably won't, but he could. He's plus 325. Sasaki versus Hayes. Sasaki's plus 400.
Well, what if you don't
Lentz
parlay
is
him?
plus 230, and Lentz isn't like horrific. I mean, he's a good wrestler, part of a good camp, who has gotten better. I think he's topped out. I don't know that he's world championship material, but he's still a tough out. He's a dog. Jared Brooks and actually Ian McCall is closer to even money now.
What if you don't parlay him and you just bet all the dogs?
I don't think you can go wrong there either.
See, the thing is, I'm starting to not like to bet on MMA because it's not like basketball where if you bet a game, there's another one tomorrow. Same thing with hockey or whatever, baseball. If this ruins your night in MMA, you got to wait like a week, a couple of days before you could even watch another fight again, right? So I've been kind of just liking sitting back and watching fights.
What can you afford to lose this weekend? 10, 20?
50?
50? Then do 50, but only 3. Sweat 2 less fights.
Parlay?
Yeah. Or, if you're going to do 5, then just do like 10 or 20. Because you'll still get to that payday. I mean, because what do you want? When you walk up to that window, what do you want to collect, really?
Money.
I know that. But if they go, here you go, here's 120. Are you pretty happy, or do you feel like all that sweating and drama, and you're putting your reputation every time you tell people, do this, I'm goes, count on it, lock it. And then people are texting you, fucking A, you jinxed me, you suck. So, to me, it's not worth it to go up there unless the guy's going 500.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
So that's why
I like 400.
Huh?
You can do a lot.
Well, all right, 400, 300, maybe 300. Yeah, 300. So to do that, I think you need to do $20, 5 teams. In this case, 5 fights to get to that 300 range. But if you bet 50, then you only need to do 3 fighters.
I think
but it has to be disposable income where you're not sitting there moping going, why'd you talk me into that? You know what I mean?
There's been times
That's why I like
where
that number
we've been
20.
hot, where we've had a lot of parlays in a row.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know we're
and they
walking
make
up
up
there
for it.
and
They make up for it.
probably thinking, hey, like, come again.
Yeah. So, that said, what's your parlay?
All right. Let's pull this up.
Who do you like with D. Randami at home?
D. Randami, but I don't think
So do I. She's only minus 130. That's not killing your parlay. It's a small favorite. Who do you like between Brunson and Silva? Brunson's not Silva's not easy to take down, by the way. And when you get him down, he's got a really difficult guard to break through. He's got strong wrist control. He's hard to advance on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's also athletic where if there's an opening, he can get out. I mean, you have to literally be like an Olympic caliber wrestler like Cormier to honestly hold him down and do something.
Last week, I bet Chaz Skelly was one of those.
That's because his mom's listening.
Well, yeah, we already know that, right? But that was kind of that kind of reminded me a little bit of that fight. We're just sitting there, and I just kept telling him, like, there's certain fights when they start, you know what direction they're going to go in. And his fight, I was just saying, guys, I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's a matter of time. This guy's got it. I like that feeling. In the Anderson Silva-Derek Brunson fight, I'm not going to have that feeling. You're going to be shitting your pants the entire fight. With Anderson Silva, here's the thing about him. For me, I feel like the losses he has aren't because his skills have declined. They're because he's not pulling the trigger or he's just having fun out there. Maybe he doesn't have that hunger that some of these other guys have because he's got a lot of money now, right? He's got a reputation. He's a celebrity. So that fight, I don't know.
Before Brunson lost, I thought he was dangerous because his striking was getting better and he could wrestle. But after that Whitaker loss, I think he's going to become more towards the wrestling and take the striking slow, especially against an all-time great striker. But because of that, I also feel like Anderson Silva is now expecting that. Versus had he not lost to Whitaker, I think he'd be like, wow, what direction is this guy going to take it? But I think Anderson Silva has a good idea that Brunson's going to want to wrestle early on. So I think his offensive attack's a little bit more limited. I don't know. We have to talk about the underdogs because we talk about the favorites. There's no point in parlaying. The next one is Souza and Bosch. Does Bosch really have a shot, or are we just convincing ourselves?
No, I think he does, and it's because he's awkward, right? And Jacare, if you watch Jacare when he throws with a lot of power, something that you just don't expect from a guy who has that jiu-jitsu pedigree. But he's not the most technical guy when he's throwing. And a guy like Boach can move around, slip a punch here and there, and then throw one of his bombs. And when his bombs hit, they hit. They rock people. So I can see it, but Jacare
I would include Boach in a $10 parlay, not a $20 and not a $50. I feel like the 10 is like me walking into 7-Eleven going, what's the lotto at? Yeah, give me 2 or 3. So Boach, I feel like we're really reaching for it here. So I would only do a $10 5-teamer or 8-teamer just for fun. Because I don't enjoy losing $20. 10, not that I enjoy losing that either, but 10 I can honestly say, where'd it go? Oh, I don't know. 20's like, I know it went. I fucking parlayed and I lost. But regardless, that's how I feel about Bosch. Like, I probably wouldn't include him in my 3 or my 5 or feel too good about it with strong money going. But I feel like he has something there, and at least it's power. Cannonier and Teixeira, I think I'm going to skip it. Teixeira blasts everyone that's not a top 3 guy. And when it's a top 3 guy, he comes up short. I kind of learned my lesson with Teixeira. I know where he stands. Poirier and Miller. I think Poirier's an awesome fighter. I think he's a great fighter. But I don't think he's that much better than Poirier that he should be minus 450 and Miller's plus 325. I won't bet Miller because I feel like there's a connection between Junkie Radio and Poirier. And there's also one with Miller. So I'm just going to leave that one alone.
He did the original Burp and Slip show.
Exactly. So I think that one I'm just going to leave alone, enjoy it. But I do want to point out that I think Miller is more competitive than those odds of plus 325.
When you're looking at an underdog, the one thing that I like to look at is this guy going to give you an honest performance? Did he take his camp seriously? When I look at guys like Nick Lentz and Jim Miller, when they failed in the cage, it's not because they didn't put the work in. They're going to give you an honest fight. So if I'm going to go down on that ship, I'm good with that.
Let's take a break. I want to plan this right. We should break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. When we come back, we'll be talking to James Gallagher from Bellator. We'll be fighting on Bellator 173, and it's coming up on February 24. So later this month. We'll be talking to him, and then in that first part of the second hour will be wide open again. If you want to call in, 866-522-2846, and we'll resume this parlay talk. We'll finish the bottom half of the card. I think there are some opportunities there to make a buck. All right, we'll be right back. I don't think
boys, and they get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Good call, Danny. What's the name of that song?
Wonderwall.
Wonderwall?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I would. But, yeah.
Play something else, Danny. We have time? Yeah, they got, but they, and the other one just had to do it by himself. Like, they were a mess, dude.
Really?
They had all kinds of dumb stuff going on.
Oh, yeah, I recognize that one. Okay.
This one, and then there's one more. I got one more.
All right, let's hear one more.
They started off with
Sometimes we had a few other fighters on the show. They were cool. One of them was a Huan, right? The big heavyweight? Not Carnero, but Putz. He fought in the UFC. He didn't show too well for himself. So if you're asking me my opinion, I would say it's great that they have a scene, but I haven't really seen many South African fighters do much in MMA at high levels, so I wouldn't say it's arrived. Like South Korea, you can point to Stun Gun, Choi, the Zombie. You know what I mean? There's at least 3 to build off there, probably a few others that I'm forgetting. And I think once you get that and they're winning at the high levels.
What about the dude from Bellator?
Neil Grove.
Neil,
yeah. Neil Grove, I guess, would be someone. Yeah. I think he got to a tournament final. He may have got checked by the Minnesota wrestler. What was his name? Cole Conrad? Mm-hmm. I think something happened there. He's cool, though. He's cool. He lived in the UK for a long time. and but he is from South Africa, so I think there's one guy you can hang your hat on. But again, where are the other guys?
I remember Mike Whitehead said that he went to South Africa and trained with some of those guys.
Did he?
Yeah, he said they're pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they have a hell of a rugby team. Some of those guys could probably fight, right? Put them in MMA. Let's see here. Jeremy Deschner. I watched Jared Brooks fight live at Pancrase 281 against Jun Nakamura. And Jared destroyed him. In fact, Jared got the words trash talking added into the Japanese language. That's funny. Look, I don't know how Jared's been behaving. Ian was saying he's kind of acting like an ass out there. But anyway, that's got a couple weeks.
How are you?
Good. Have you on? You're on with George and Goes. You're wrapping up a camp, right? I mean, we're getting to the point where the harder workouts are in the bank.
Yeah, it's all done and dusted, and I'm feeling ready to win.
What are some crucial moments when you're ending a camp? Obviously, one of them is to get through injury-free. And then you got to start doing, I guess, your fair share of media. But, like, are there crucial points in terms of where you want your weight at, or any other preparations, I guess, in those final weeks before a fight?
Yeah, definitely. I have to get my weight down and keep that in target. But I'm always quite good at that anyway. Keep always eat healthy all year round, and I'm always training all year round. So I'm always on top of that kind of thing. But now it's just about staying loose, drilling the shots, and make sure that I'm ready to fire when it's time to go.
Yeah, it all has to line up perfectly, and I think a lot of fighters are now starting to realize the importance of media and that final push. Because, okay, this hard work's there. Okay, you want to tell everyone you're champion, but you want everyone to tune in, and you want everyone to I guess, latch on to you, become fans that night. So I guess you think the new breed of fighter is taking that into account. I see a lot of the UK-based fighters and European-based fighters really taking to social media and connecting.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's part of the job. Do you know what I mean? Well, how can you expect people to watch you if you have nothing to sell to them? Do you know what I mean? So you've got to sell something to people to buy it and tune in and watch you fight. You know what I mean? And you need to. It's an important part of your job. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. But I find it fun and I enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? Like now, like tonight's my rest night off training, so I'd be just sitting around anyway. So why not just get on here and do a few hours of interviews? You know what I mean? It's a bit of fun to me, and I enjoy it. I enjoy all the social media, and I just have fun with it. I don't get caught up in it and think have to do this or have to do that, because I don't. The only thing I have to do is train and fight. Do you know what I mean? But I enjoy this part of it, so I'm quite happy to roll with it and just enjoy it while I do it.
And you can follow James on Twitter at StrabAnimal MMA. He's got pictures of his bird. He's got pictures of burgers. He's responding to Aaron Pico. He's all over the place. He's a fun follow. And, again, it's StrabAnimal MMA. Goes, what do you have for James Gallagher?
Well, I guess we could jump right into that. You brought up that name, Aaron Pico. James, can you tell us a little bit about that? I know he wants to fight you, but you have someone else in front of you right now. How is it difficult to be able to focus on your opponent and keep your emotions intact when someone else is calling you out like that?
The whole division's calling me out. Every single one of them. They are like every single one, but he's not even in my. He hasn't even fought. So how can I say he's in my division? He hasn't even fought in MMA in his life. Not even an amateur fight. Like, who is he? Like, what the fuck? How can you call out someone who's like 5-0 and on his way for a good career when you don't even have an amateur fight? It doesn't make sense to me. Go and have a fight and prove that you can fight. He doesn't even know if he likes this. Like, he does. He might walk out there and might not even. He doesn't even know if he likes it. He enjoys training and stuff, but it's a whole different ball game when you walk out in front of a few thousand people and someone's running at you trying to knee in the face. It's it's different. You can do all the competitions and wrestling and boxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, whatever the fuck you want, but it's not wrestling, it's not boxing, it's MMA.
So he's not even on your radar.
I don't get where he's coming from, but I didn't even hear of him until he called me out. I've got bigger people in my mind, and you'll find out after I put this guy away who I'm coming from, who I'm coming for.
We can't get a sneak preview of that name.
You'll
soon find out.
That's smart. He's making us tune in to Bellator 173. I like it.
Find out who that is.
I love it, James. I love it. You woke up there a little bit. I wasn't sure what was happening with you early on, but I know you have quite the personality, and you bring up a good point, man. Pico's, I think he's starting in a little bit early there on James Gallagher. Gallagher's 5-0. 5-0. It takes you anywhere from a year to 18 months to 2 years to get to that point. And once you get to that point, I think that's when you realize, am I a fighter or am I not a fighter? Mm-hmm. Much respect to what he's done in the wrestling world, but you're not there just yet.
Exactly. So, he does. That's what I don't like. I've done loads of jiu-jitsu. I've done karate competitions. I've done all the fucking martial arts competitions outside of MMA, but it's not. I've got over 24 MMA fights, including pro and amateurs, and it's a whole different ballgame. So I don't know how someone who hasn't even got a fight is getting recognized like that. Fair play to him while he's doing wrestling. That's hats off to him, respect him for that, but shut your fucking mouth and have a fight before you open your mouth about me.
All right, James Gallagher, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He fights in a couple weeks at Bellator 173. Thank you, James, for the time. Always great to catch up with you. Good luck with the rest of your camp, and we'll be tuning in, watching in on February 24th.
No worries. Pleasure to be on. Thank you very much.
All right, cheers. All right, folks, give him a follow at StrapAnimal MMA. That's James Gallagher. Funny guy there, and we will be back in about 4 minutes. We got a sports update, some commercials, and then we'll take some calls. 866-522-2846. Shout out to Dan and CJ and Danny for hooking these up.
I'm gonna keep on the run. I'm gonna have me some fun. If it costs me my very last dime, if I wind up broke, well, I'll always remember that.
I am playing Mike's Choice. Coming back.
All right. This is the second hour of the MMAjunkie Radio Show. Had to kick out some youngins out there.
Oh, they got caught?
No, they didn't get caught, but
I saw them mobilizing.
I had to go out there and inquire about the age of somebody who could pass for 21, but is not 21. So it's strict here, man, at Mandalay Bay, unfortunately. I remember as a kid, my dad and mom would play a slot machine, and I wanted to stand there because that's back in the day where you could hear the coins dropping and hitting.
Those are the
So
days.
when someone hit a jackpot, it was like cool. People would gather around. You could hear the coins ding, 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 ding. And I'd have to stand off like a Momo, just off on the side, just watching, you know. But I wanted to be in there. I wanted to pull it a couple times. Couldn't do it. And those have just been strict gaming laws for I don't know how long. I don't think they're budging, man. I think 21 is the age, and that's it. In fact, I think that cousin, may only be 17. We didn't even get to whether they're 21 or not. But my aunt was trying to give me the wink, wink. Oh, yeah, he's 21, he's 21. I'm like, it ain't going to work. I go, there has to be an identification. You know, I go, there's cameras watching us. I mean, there's so many cameras.
People think
in
those
these
are
places.
our laws. Like,
Exactly.
we invented that. We didn't do that. It's not a rule. It's a law.
So it took
There's
me
nothing we can do about that.
3 minutes of defusing the fact that I know he's not 21 and that it is a law where we could have been hugging and kissing and how's everyone doing and this and that.
And the worst part is they get a little briefing before. You know, it's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to see a security guard. Security guards they're polite people, but sometimes they just come in and they got to do their job. And if that means they got to grab you by your arm or pull you out, it's embarrassing. You don't want somebody to go through that.
Yeah, you're right.
You're 21, right?
Let's see here. I'm going back to the Facebook chat just to see what everyone's saying. Rob Givens 3 is encouraging Mary Skelly to have Chaz Skelly call in. I guess Chaz Skelly was listening for a while.
Oh, cool.
Tony Polito is saying he's never gambled in his life.
Tony, really?
Yeah.
I could see that.
He is a conservative fellow. And I'll tell you what, it's a vice. It's a vice like drinking and smoking and everything else. If you don't think you can control yourself, then best bet is to not start. But I think if you're also that disciplined and you go out there and you do it and you lose 200 and that smack doesn't feel good, I think you'll realize I just never want to do that again. I work too hard for my money. I'm not going to do it. And then others will realize there's wins and losses. There's just different stages of how you can treat gambling.
You know what?
The rush is pretty cool, though.
Yeah, the rush is awesome. You know what's one of the funnest ways to gamble? If you don't want to spend a lot of money, you don't want to lose too much. Next time there's a big boxing match, host it at your house. Grab a bunch of numbers, rounds,
do the squares,
the names, put them in a hat, draw them, $10 each, $20 each, or whatever. And if your guy loses or wins in that round, it's fun, man. It makes the environment cool. It's a fun time. You're not gonna not make your house payment if you lose $10, $20. But I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. Also on the Facebook chat, shout out to Wesley Riddle. Yeah, I don't know where he's listening from. If you can include in parentheses or just somewhere there where you're from, I always get a kick out of see who's listening and where they're from. Danny Creighton's calling us cochinos. I don't know about that, man. One thing I can say about Goz and I is we shower, man. We shower every third day or so, right? So no one can come at us for that. At least I do. What, today? I got one scheduled for Saturday, so don't call me a cochino.
I shower a lot, dude. I told you about my, well, yeah, I shower a lot, man.
Shout out to Antonio Cisneros and Paul James listening from different parts of the world. David Bonacci. He's saying legally amateur combat sports that are not in the Olympics are now illegal in Canada unless specified in provincial law. Montreal police was just turning a blind eye to the issue until now. I trip out on Canada. Canada's at times sounds like a really, really cool, laid-back spot.
Mm-hmm.
I know some cool people from there. But then they got some of the most outrageous things when it comes to combat sports. I think in one province, it was either Toronto, Ontario, or Quebec. So I'm talking Montreal or Toronto, where those cities are based. One of them wouldn't allow foot stomps. You could do everything but the foot stomp.
Yeah.
Like, why that one of all of them?
I don't know.
The foot stomp. I mean, because you might crush someone's foot? Yeah, I suppose, but are you not aware of the other shit that's trying to take place when someone throws an elbow or a punch? You're trying to crush something.
Sometimes things are just silly.
Yeah.
We have a lot of laws out here that are dumb.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about, why certain provinces roll the way they do.
But the thing is, eventually they all come around, right?
I agree. All right, in the latest news goes, let's finish the parlay talk. I'll throw out a few more, and then you tell me what you like, what you don't like.
Okay.
And then maybe we can polish it up tomorrow and come up with official parlays. And then we'll dive into some news. Also, Liam McGeary joining us at the end of this hour. Former light heavyweight champion, lost to Phil Davis, and now he's looking to rebound at Bellator 173. Now, this is taking place in Belfast, Northern Ireland. So I'll give you the times, start times, delayed start times, all that good stuff, so that no one gets a spoiler and you can watch it when it's appropriate. Bilal Muhammad and Randy Brown. Muhammad is the dog at plus 115. Uka Sasaki versus Wilson Hayes. Hayes minus 600, Sasaki plus 400. So if you feel there's something in Sasaki's game, I mean, that's a huge payout there. Hayes is pretty consistent. He only loses to good fighters. So he may just want to leave it alone. I don't know. Lentz is plus 230, like Goes mentioned. McCall and Brooks. Look, I may homer a little because McCall's SoCal.
Mm-hmm.
I think McCall's pretty McCall. And I just mentioned that Brooks is probably the top-rated strawweight in the world. But McCall's a test. And in your first UFC, late notice. Granted, McCall, over 3 years without a fight, something like that.
That kind of means nothing.
Injuries.
After what the Korean Zombie just did.
Yeah. So there's variables, there's intangibles everywhere. But I think that if McCall wasn't off the 3-year layoff, that line wouldn't be there. So as long as he's been training hard, and he usually does, there might be an advantage there if you take McCall. I mean, he's a former Tachi Palace champion. The reason I bring that up is because back in the day, that's where all the best flyweights were. So at one point, he was one of the best, or the best flyweight walking this planet. Gave Demetrius a draw.
Yeah.
Could have won, maybe.
Been tough.
He wasn't posing for pictures in the middle of a fight. Juan Carnero is fighting Ryan LaFleur. LaFleur minus 293, Carnero 257 plus. And Philippe Nover, plus 180 versus Rick Glenn, minus 205. So there you have it in terms of the latest no, not the latest news, the latest odds in our sport.
So what are we doing?
In that card at UFC 208.
Is it 3 or 5?
Well, you can have two versions. You can have a 3 and a 5.
All right.
If you haven't pieced it together, that's fine. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. But if you have one, share it.
I'm going to go Anderson Silva.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tie
I could tell you what it'll pay, too.
All right. Go ahead. Anderson Silva, Rick Glenn, and Bilal Muhammad. Tell me what that pays.
All right.
That'll be my 3-teamer. Or 3-fighter. That's what I would do.
All right. Anderson Silva, plus 125, we said, right?
Uh-huh.
And we're going to use the $100 bet, or what do you want to use?
Use the $100 bet.
All right. Anderson Silva plus 125.
Rick Glenn.
Rick Glenn. He's minus 205.
And to accompany those gentlemen, Bilal Muhammad.
Plus 115. Now, normally, if all the fights were pick'em, your 100 would pay 600. But because you took 2 slight dogs and a favorite, it may actually be around the same. That one big favorite might balance out with the 2 dogs. It pays $619.73. Now, let's just say you didn't include Bilal Muhammad, and you included, well, we said the lottery ticket a little bit.
All right, give me
Tim Bosch.
Well, can I pick someone else?
Well, let me just do this one. I already started it. Your $100 would pay $14.90.
Wow.
So you got a balance between you feel real good about Muhammad, your gut instinct, your first instinct, versus, oh, man, did Gigi just convince me, or, anybody else just convince you that Tim Boesch with that uppercut, he's a veteran, he's beating some good fighters. Take a look at his record. He's beating some good fighters. Yeah. Can he do it? Catch lightning in a bottle against one of the best middleweights in the world.
He's beaten a lot
now
of good
all
fighters.
Of a sudden,
he hasn't dominated a lot of fighters, though.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden, you're walking up, or like you mentioned earlier, 50 will pay you 300. In this case, 50 would pay you 750. Even cutting it further, 25 will pay you 150 for the one with Bilal Muhammad. 25 will pay you 375 if you include Tim Boesch. You see how things got a little bit more fun with Tim Boesch, but it also got a lot more riskier, because when someone asks you, well, who's he going against? And you go, fucking Jacare. You're like, oh, my God, what were you thinking?
Well, that would be the hill, right, in your parlay. You got to get over that hill, Boesch. And then from there, even then, Anderson Silva, Derek Brunson's not a slam dunk.
It's not a slam dunk. Right. Yeah. That's an example of just having fun, chatting about it, and then figuring out on what we can pull the trigger and what we can't pull the trigger on. We talked about Daly and McDonald happening in May at Bellator 179. I wasn't sure if I added that last part. Oh, you don't?
No.
It looks like Bellator 179. It just says in May. Do you know exactly? Have you had conversations with anybody? No.
I had conversations.
May 19th.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. It would have been a nice way to start things off, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, Bellator comes strong on Friday, and we have a Friday
That's
activity.
The problem.
I got you. Okay. Some other stuff in the sport of mixed martial arts. Invicta added 4 fights, including Deanna Bennett versus Jody Escobil. That's Invicta FC 22. I told you about KSW in Poland. They want to have a stadium event. They want to get that 50,000 or more attendance so they can be in the conversations like UFC 193 and UFC 129. Let's not forget, UFC 198 was like 45,000 in Curitiba, Brazil. So Melbourne, Curitiba, and Toronto have all hosted stadium shows.
You touched on that a little bit, but you guys have to realize that they've been doing shows for a long time, and they do run Poland. They do. We've had people that live there, that are from there, that have said if both the UFC and them have a card on the same night, they're not going to watch the UFC.
Oh, yeah. There's people in Poland that say, I train KSW. I don't train UFC. I train KSW. As always, the UFC will usually win that battle in the long run, and they're just too busy trying to penetrate Asia, Oceania, the Middle East, Europe, the UK. You know, they're everywhere. They can't go to everywhere, but I think they have Joanna to start with. I think they got a few other Polish fighters as well. They'll do it one day, but for right now, that's KSW territory. Now, here's a fight that, because most people listen to UFC, they won't realize how great this fight is, but Eduardo Dantas fights Darian Caldwell.
Yeah.
At Bellator 177 in Budapest, Hungary. So that's a massive fight. I wish that was a Vegas or Cali fight.
Darian had that one little hiccup, but I'm telling you, that guy's a beast.
It is. And Dantas is a beast.
It's in Hungary?
He's got his hands full, yeah.
Aren't you? Yeah.
Isn't that where Budapest is? Budapest is in Hungary, right? Yeah. So that's happening. Cote wants Ellenberger. That recap's up. So's the Alistair Overeem recap. That's up as well. However, Little Birdie told me that it probably won't come to fruition. I'm kind of bummed out because I thought it made sense. Two guys coming off a loss. They're veterans.
Cote and Ellenberger?
Yeah, but it looks like that fight won't happen. Now, if I tell you any more than that, then that kind of starts the process of outing where my sources might be. So I'll just say it probably won't happen, but it doesn't mean it won't happen down the road.
Well, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll leave it at that, I guess.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Carl Moore gets opponent. He fights Tough 19 veteran Josh Clark. Remember the Hillbilly Heartthrob? He's fighting at Cage Warriors. Shout out to Graham and Ian out there at Cage Warriors for many years. Cage Warriors was on MMAjunkie, so I have a soft spot for those guys. It looks like Verdum and Rothwell is official now. So that sounds like a co-main to me, along with Miocic versus JDS. So Dallas on May 13th, I believe. They're coming strong to your neck of the woods with the pay-per-view. The big boys will be slugging it out on that fight card.
You like that when they have a lot of heavyweights on one card?
I don't hate it.
They did that here in Vegas, remember?
Yeah.
And it was great, but then afterwards it kind of
If you have a couple that where they gas and it's sloppy back to back, heavyweights when they gas and it's ugly, it can be really painful to watch. But for the most part, I think that those days are gone. I think we're really seeing good activity out of the fights.
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot Hunt was so great that it erased a lot of memories from back in the day. Like, remember the one with Gonzaga at MGM?
Oh, it's Sean Jordan?
Yeah.
Not Sean Jordan.
No, it wasn't Sean Jordan.
It was a shaman. What was his name?
It was a black guy, but I don't remember his name.
Something Jordan.
It was horrific. It was a horrific fight. But then in the end, didn't he flatten him?
Yeah, in the last round. But like with a minute
left
14
minutes of misery. There was times within those 14 minutes that I wanted to just quit being a fan of the sport. That's how bad it was. And then all of a sudden it ended with Gonzaga winning. Kevin Jordan, I think that rings a bell. That's what it was. The embeddeds have been up. There's like 2 of them that are in the books already. I was looking for part 3. I don't know if part 3's out, but you can catch up on our front page. Holly Holm, Anderson Silva, Jacare, leave their respective cities and show up in Brooklyn for UFC 208. Holly Holm, I think, was on Live with Kelly this morning. I don't know how that went. I think Holm does well for herself when she does these interviews. She's very well spoken, charming, good-looking gal. Her media tour was amazing, one of the best I've ever seen representing our sport. Let's just hope that when she's back at the hotel, she's transitioning, she's smiling and giving fans a little bit of that love to kind of round out, I guess, her public persona that's starting to take a little bit more of a public hit than it used to. But
it's a lump, right? I mean, nobody's really said she's rude, but
we're starting to hear it a lot out there. We've had her on the show, I think, only one time. She was pleasant with us. I think she does media well.
I think we had her back in the Legacy days.
Did we?
Yeah, I think so.
God damn, I'm forgetting shit. All right. And, the latest rankings came out with the Korean Zombie. He made a step in. Andrade made a step up as well. So good to have them back. The Zombie had to be removed. Once you're out for 2 years, no matter what, you're out. So when we brought him back, we had to be careful where we placed him because other people were doing work for 2 years. And he was out 2 years for military service and 1 year for kind of injury. So it was really a 3-year layoff. I want to respect his body of work, but if you looked at his wins from the past, they're just not as sexy as they were 3 years ago. Back then, you were like, he beat this guy, he beat that guy. 3 years later, you're like, remember him? He beat him. Remember him? Yeah, I got him too. But he lost to Aldo. I mean, there's not much to hang your hat on, except Bermudez. Except that in that division, there's a lot of undefeated fighters, man. Ortega's in there. Mirsad Bektik, he's undefeated. You have to be real careful where you place him. That was a tricky one this week, was to, talk a little bit of rankings with those guys. Jerry Odessa did us the favor of opening up the odds for Miocic and JDS. Those stories always do well on our front page at MMA Odds. Good friend of the show. Miocic is your favorite. He's a 2-1 favorite over Junior Dos Santos. Ironically, Junior Dos Santos has beaten Stipe Miocic in the past. Let's go to the phone calls. 866-522-2846. We'll start off with Josh in Ontario. What's up, Josh?
Hey, guys. A couple things here. First about the bets. What do you think, George? We've talked about it in the past. What about just playing every dog this weekend? How do you think that would work out? There's a couple huge lines, one way, slanted one way. You think that's an option this weekend?
This is the card to do it.
I think so. So your dogs, I won't say the odds again because I just want to race through this, but your underdogs would be Holly Holm, former bantamweight champ, Jim Miller, former top 10 lightweight, who at one point had, I think, an 8-fight win streak, right, Gus?
Yeah.
You would also be going with Ulka Sasaki. I don't know much about him. You'd be going with Nick Lentz, who was a top 10 featherweight at one point. Now he's fighting back at 55. You'd be going with Anderson Silva, who in some people's eyes is the greatest fighter of all time. You'd be going with Tim Boetsch, who's been ranked for years and has big wins over big-name fighters. You'd also be rolling with Jared Cannonier, who's only lost once in his life. You'd be going with Justin Willis against Marcin Tybura. Can't tell you much there. Bilal Muhammad, who seems to be a pretty tough fighter, but is in need of a win. You'd be going with shit in some books, Ian McCall, believe it or not, against the number 1 strawweight in the world, Jared Brooks. You'd also be going with Juan Carnero and Philippe Nover, who at one point was maybe the next Anderson Silva. So I don't think you could get hurt too bad.
I feel bad when people make fun of that because he had nothing to do with it. It was just something that came out of Dana's mouth.
Dana, yeah. You gonna do it?
Yeah, that was just yes. No, I'm not. I'm gonna lay low for a few weeks here. But when I was looking over the odds, that's just one thing that came up. Just because there's a few like home runs, as you called them, and then a lot of close lines where, like you said, you give me Holly Holm in a close one, I'm not gonna complain too bad. But another thing,
I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna wing it, and tomorrow I'll tell you what the odds were on every fight, and we'll see how I do.
How much?
I'm just going to do 25 on each fight.
25 on each fight?
25 on each fight and just see what comes out of it.
It's junkie gathering money for you.
It could be, yeah. And, if you go, I think there's like 12 fights or 13. But if you go 4 and 8, you may break even because of the odds. You don't have to win them all, honestly. You just have to win a few of them. And this sport is so nutty that it can happen. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
Sorry, Ghost. Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of the junkie gathering, I'm fired up to have the chance to see the lion fights live. And then earlier you said how wacky Canada is. We've had Alex Ricci, or Alessandro Ricci, in studio a bunch lately, and we have no kickboxing, no Muay Thai in Ontario. So, yeah, pretty fired up for the junkie gathering to have a chance to take that in live.
Right on, brother. All right, thanks for calling in.
Okay, cheers, guys. Have a great show.
We'll see you. Marco from Waco. How you doing, Marco?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, vatos? I am getting super chrome for that card in Dallas, dude. It's getting better and better as it goes.
Have the tickets come out? Have you already got your tickets?
Well, I'm going to have to get on the website, and because I once member of the Fight Club, but, I haven't been in so long that I had to put myself back in, but I'm getting tickets, man. I'm definitely going to go out there. It's only like an hour and a half away from here. I'm driving for us. Hey, freaking step aside, Paceman's son, insert Michelle Watterson, man. They're doing all this media blitz for her up there in a snow out, knee deep in the snow right now.
How are they testing the athletes?
So I think Danny
out there in New York in the Big Apple.
I mean, in the studio I am right now, I don't see any windows, but I mean, to walk from the station or the studio at Sirius that I was doing something this morning to here, I was covered in snow. I mean, it's bad. It's snowing sideways. I mean, we had probably at least 6 inches this morning.
When did it hit?
It was like between 3 and 4 a.m.
Okay, so most of the fighters were scheduled to fly Tuesday. That's the flying date. Do you think most of them got in on time? Even the international fighters were getting in a little earlier. So, I think they're safe in that regard, right?
It was really funny because last night, I mean, you wouldn't think there was anything coming. I grabbed some drinks in the city. I mean, it was like in the 40s and 50s last night.
Yeah.
So, as long as they got in before like 2 or 3 a.m., I don't really think they had trouble at all. I mean, I was out at midnight, and it still was like in the upper 40s.
Yeah, so Marco, I think everyone will make their adjustments, but I think that the event will happen. Maybe some of the other events, as far as like, I think, like you said, those some media days or whatever, then if there has to be a cancellation, there may have to be a cancellation if people just can't get around. But I think for the most part, the event's good. I think the fighters are in, and the event's going down.
Yeah, I mean, something for them.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take this break. When we come back, we'll take another stretch of calls. Get in at 866-522-2846. I'll also open up the YouTube, see what you all are chatting about. Facebook, you guys never let me down as well. And I'm going to write down what a $100 fight gambler would have done last week if he would have bet all the dogs. So I'm looking at UFC Fight Night 104, Bermudez versus Zombie. And I'll give you the breakdown of what a $25 player would have done, $50 player would have done, and a $100 player would have done. We'll be right back after this break. I had never heard stories from behind the scenes that he was acting like a certain way, though.
Blah, blah, blah. Here are those two dummies, George and Goes.
Okay. I did the math, Goes.
All right.
Let's see if I got this right. Oh, shit. I'm already off right here. Hold on.
This is Nirvana, in case people are wondering. It's a band from the 90s. This is the era
really
I
don't
grew
know
up
that?
in. What's that?
People really don't know that?
Oh, hell yeah. They, the other day, they were playing like that flashback, whatever they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Pearl Jam, they had Nirvana. This kind of like old man music.
All right, here's the deal. If you bet $100 on every underdog at UFC Houston, also known as UFC 104, Fight Night 104, you would have made $365 if you just bet $100 on every dog. No math, no science, no strategy, no anything. You just go, give me $100 on every dog. Why? Because you would have cashed these tickets. The Zombie plus 160. Felice Herrig plus 300. You would have lost 100 on Vic by taking Trujillo. You would have won 300 on Ozdemir, who defeated OSP. You would have won 200 on Fortuna, who beat Hamilton. You would have lost 100 on Hill, who lost to Andrade. You would have lost 100 on Milstead. That's the guy that injured his knee against Blades. You would have lost 100 on Grutzmacher. He lost to Skelly. You would have won 105 on Ramos, who beat Tanaka. You would have lost 100 on Rawlings against Torres. You would have lost 100 on Montano against Price. And you would have lost 100 on Jolly versus Roundtree. You would have started the night going, fuck this shit. I'm down $300 because the first three dogs lost. Then you finally get one back with Ramos, and you go, all right, now I'm only down a couple hundred, starting to feel a little bit better. But then favorites went 2-0 with Skelly and Blades back-to-back. So 5 of the first 6 fights you lost. Actually, even the one after that.
That would have been
Andrade.
scary.
So that theory, you would have been pissed. You would have lost 6 fights at 100 each. Sorry. Yeah, 6 fights at 100 each and only won 1. So you'd be down about $500. Minus 600. Yeah.
Oh, with the juice?
So no, there's no juice because these are dogs. So you'd be down like $500 before you get to Fortuna and Hamilton. You'd be going, fucking George, man. $100 on every dog. What was I thinking? Like, that's a lot of money for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
A $50 player would have been down $250, and a $25 player would have been down $125. We'll go back to 100 because it's a round number. Then Fortuna hits, and you're like, fuck yeah. Oh, and plus, as they're coming out and you see that Hamilton's 253, he's a veteran. Fortuna's making his debut. He weighs 210. What's he doing fighting a heavyweight? Oh, my God, what was I doing? Fucking George, I'm never listening to MMAjunkie Radio again. And he wins. You win $200. Now you're only down 300 instead of 500. Then Ozdemir defeats St. Preux by split decision. And you're back to even. After those 2 fights, you're back to even. On the night, you're 3-6, but you're even because the underdog odds help out. Then you get to Vic and Trujillo, and you lose. All right, well, I just won 2 big ones. I lose. Vic took care of Trujillo. That's a wrap. That's that. Now I'm down to Hundy going into the co-main and the main. And you're riding with Felice Herrig against Alexa Grasso. Grasso's undefeated. Bermudez is top 10. And
you had a better chance.
Your guy hasn't fought in 3 years, so most of us are negative Nancy's as we're watching. We're like, oh my God, what did I do? I'm down 100 going into the last 2. Felice wins. She wins 300. you're now up 200 on the night, right? So going into the last fight, you know the worst you can do is be up 100 or be up, what I finished saying, 365. Did I do my math right? I may have been wrong on my math. Regardless, Chan Sung Jung goes in there and wins. And now all of a sudden, you're just having a great day. In the end, you went 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 dogs won against 7 losses, and you still walked away with 365, if I got that right. I think I did. 560. What's 560 minus 195? It's 365. I think I did that right. Why does this not feel like I did it? Plus 460, plus 200, plus 100, minus 200, minus 5, minus 200. All right, I think I did it right. I might, Goes. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
The 365 winner who bet $50 would have won 180, and the 365 winner. Wait, let me say that again. The $365 winner, if he only did half of this, he was a $50 player, he would have won 180, he or she. And the $25 player would have won 90. So not as sexy if you do 25, which is I think what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe what I'm saying in public, in case Jules is listening, when I'm really going to do 100. But, yeah, 25 would have netted you 90, 50 would have netted you 180, 100 would have netted you 365.
So let us know if you're officially going to do it, because we all want to ride or die with you.
Yeah?
Why not, right? Wouldn't it be fun? Everyone just watching the same thing, rooting for the same thing.
God damn, who am I going against here? I'm going against fucking Souza and Brunson and.
Yeah, but look at some of the other fights. You got the GOAT.
Who's the main event?
What more do you want?
Going against D. Randami. All right, I'll let you guys know. I'll let you know. We got to keep it under wraps, though. I think Jules might be working early today, so she ain't gonna listen.
Mm-hmm.
But I may go 100. We'll see. I don't know. All right, let's go to Mike in New Jersey. What's up, Mike? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, man. Thank you.
I just wanted to hit on a guy who I thought should have been an honorable mention for Fighter of the Year. It wasn't really mentioned.
Who's that?
Stephen Thompson. Wonder Boy.
Stephen Thompson.
Okay. Make your case. Let's hear it.
Started off the year. He started off the year beating somebody who, in my opinion, was an undefeated fighter. If you go back to his decision losses, in Johnny Hendricks. Then he went and just flat out annihilated Rory McDonald. And then he went in and had a draw with Tyron Woodley and looked like a shell of himself. I felt like offensively, he didn't put out a quarter of what he could put out. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, if somebody brings it up, I don't go, hey, you're a crazy guy. I mean, you're making points. But the guys at the top are
2-0-1.
I mean,
in 2016.
It's Stipe for me, but I mean, it's impressive what he did.
All right, so let's do this, Mike.
What if he would have beat Woodley?
Mike and I are at a bar, and we're yelling at each other. It's loud in there. There's music. And he goes, oh, yeah, well, my guy beat Johnny Hendricks, the defending champion, in the first round. And I go, oh, yeah? Well, my guy beat Andrei Arlovsky, former UFC champion. All right, everyone's going, it's even. Then you go, my guy beat Rory McDonald. Oh, yeah, what happened? It was a decision. He was dominant, but it was a decision. And then I say, oh, yeah? Well, my guy beat Fabrício Verdum in Brazil in a crowded stadium and knocked him out in the first round. I'm pretty sure the bar would go, you, and point to me, right? And then now we present our third round.
Because
okay, go ahead.
He beat Rory McDonald in every single round for 5 rounds.
He didn't finish him, though.
He didn't finish him, but he made him look like a fool for 5 rounds.
Okay, all right. But I still think of the first round finish, a knockout is, I mean, if you looked at Verdum after that fight, some people might go, wow, he kind of looks like a fool right there in front of a stadium, laying there,
also,
getting knocked out. I don't mean to disrespect him, but we're talking here, in bar talk. But let's just say that you had enough people in the bar that go, wow, that was close. McDonald dominated. This guy won the world title, blah, blah, blah. Now we get to the last round. And then we say, now what happened? You have to present that he drew with Woodley. There was no winner. There was no loser. But he didn't walk away with the title, whereas I get to tell people he beat Alistair Overeem. Again, I'm not going to even mention his accolades because he's got too many of them, by knocking him out in the first round. My point to all this is just I just think one guy was just more – he stood out, man. He stood out more than the others.
Stipe was a hair close to being finished too. You know, he was pretty strong in that first
Okay,
round,
but weren't there times where Thompson was getting beat up on pretty good by Woodley too?
Close.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun. It was a good call. Thank you very much, Mike. We got to go. We got to go to commercial, but I had fun rapping with you. Call in more often. I like that guy, Mike from Jersey. All right, you're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. When we come back, we'll be talking to former Bellator light heavyweight champion, Liam McGeary.
Charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better.
February 24th at Bellator 173. It's a co-promotion with Bama 28 and their Bama 28 card. It takes place at the SSE Arena in Belfast. It's called the SSE Arena Belfast in Belfast, Ireland. The main card is available on Spike 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a tape delay, so what you want to do is avoid your social media so you can watch these fights live. We had one of the co-main eventers on, James Gallagher, early on. This is the main eventer, Liam McGeary, the former light heavyweight champ at Bellator. Hey, Liam, how you doing? Welcome back, mate.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Great. Thank you for joining us again on MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes. I'm going to do an analogy here, starting with the Super Bowl. You're very familiar with what just happened this past week, right?
Not really. I didn't watch it.
Oh, all right. Well,
I know
there goes my analogy.
Came back from I know the Patriots came back from being down,
right, and
they got the extra time. That's what everyone keeps telling me, but I wasn't really paying much attention.
All right. Well, then you didn't entirely crush what I was about to say, but this is what I was about to say. There's teams out there. Team sports are different from individual sports. So the Atlanta Falcons, who lost to the Patriots, or even if we go basketball, I don't know if you watch that. The Warriors were defending champ, and they lost their title to the Cleveland Cavaliers. What they can do is, in the offseason, they retool. They either add a piece or add a coach or subtract a piece, subtract a coach, and then try and convince their fans, this is why we're going to do it. We're still good. don't get off that bandwagon, buy those season tickets, this, that, whatever. Fighters are different. You guys have, your off season just basically becomes the time between your one fight and your next fight. So in your last fight, that was the first time you experienced the loss. My question to you is, how, is it going to be kind of the same Liam McGeary, going into this next Chris Fields fight, or are there some stuff that was either added as part of your camp or subtracted?
I had to reevaluate a few things.
Okay.
So I spent a long time off with the injury, and then I went and fought Phil Davies, which is a very tough fight to come off of such a long layoff.
Uh-huh.
I'm still young in the sport. I've only had like 11 fights up until then. So I was still learning things. I was still trying to learn the game, trying to understand. Although I've been doing it for a couple of years now, I was my fights. I got them in a quick concession.
Mm-hmm.
There was one after another, the tournament, the title, TO, and then I had my break. So I think that had played a big part in it. When I came back, I was training, but I crammed everything in. I was like, oh God, I'm coming up against Phil Davies. He's a wrestler, so I was trying to do everything all on the same day.
Right.
I'd do a wrestling, I'd do a jiu-jitsu, and then I'd go to striking, and then I'd do wrestling, and then I'd fit in strength and conditioning afterwards, So I was training for 14-week fight camp, and I was doing like four sessions a day some days, It was, by the time I got to the fight, I was worn out. I completely spent everything that I had in the fight camp, and I got to the fight in itself, and I was just flat.
Gotcha.
I tried throwing, I had combinations in my head, and all that had come out was jab. It's like, oh dear, here we go. This is going to be a long, rough night. And Phil Davies, he did his thing. He's a wrestler. He dominated the positions, and all I could do was just try and fight my way out of it. And it didn't go my way. As we saw.
I love that answer because he was humble, he was honest, and then he also shared the possible tweaks that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
He probably overspent himself in camp, and then obviously knowing and identifying where the opponent beat him, with the wrestling, that probably will continue to get addressed. So thank you very much for that answer. Go ahead, Goes. What do you have?
I was going to say, we've had fighters bring that up, right, where they feel like because it's opponent after opponent after opponent, they're focusing on what they can do to beat that one individual, and they miss out on that time that's just for them in the training room to make themselves better,
right,
and learn stuff. We've even had fighters come on and say, like, sometimes injuries are a blessing because then they can finally just settle down and focus on themselves.
Yeah.
You kind of forget what you used to do, and you forget things, and then you just kind of cram it all in, and it's just lesson learned. What they say, winning, you're not winning, and you're learning.
Mm-hmm. Liam, what do you feel like the road back is like now? How many fights do you feel like you're away from getting back to where you want to be?
Oh, this next one I'm going to be proven. It's I got it straight back after I've been back sparring, I've been back moving around, I've been back rolling, and everything fell back into place. I kind of remembered who I was back in the day, let's say a year ago. But I remembered what I was, and I remembered what I did. And I got back to enjoying it again instead of it being a mission. I couldn't wait for the fight just so I could have a rest. It shouldn't be that way. You should enjoy just going to training. You should enjoy doing what you're doing. That's why we do it. You get punched in the face for a living. You've got to enjoy some part of it.
Liam, I was looking over your record, and the one thing that stood out to me was the majority of your career has been with Bellator. When you show up to an event with everything the way Bellator's grown, they're going international, all that stuff, does it feel like home? Is there a certain comfort that comes with seeing the same individuals all the time? And how relaxing is that?
Yeah, it's pretty relaxing, it's nice. Bellator treat me right. They look after me. Every time when I go to the events, they'll make sure I feel welcomed, and they're a very good company to work for, I have a fair few fights left in my contract, and I just enjoy fighting Bellator.
Yeah, and they may be adding Ryan Bader to the roster. That's kind of a rumor that's out there. So between Davis and Bader, they're kind of holding up their end of the bargain, where they're saying where there's quality out there, they'll get it, and it's happening in your division.
Exactly. You know, I mean, a lot of people are jumping ship. They're realizing what the free agency is about. You know, they're seeing what Bellator is about with their shows, and they're enjoying. They're liking what they see, so they're coming over.
How was your life personally, as far as did your friends, your family, your fans, for the most part, hang in there? You know, you're no longer the champ; you're the former champ. A lot of times people say you find out who your friends are, you know, in your worst moments. And this was only your first loss ever, so it was an incredible ride since 2010 when you started professionally. But how was it on that front?
I don't feel anything changed. You know, I mean, everybody's still the same with me. I'm still the same with everybody else. My friends are always got my back. Nothing really changed there.
Well, that's good to hear. All right. Well, it's nice that you're bouncing back. I mean, this will all happen here within like a 3-month span where you're letting the fans know this one hurt, but it ain't over. You know, the run's not over. You got Chris Fields ahead of you, and maybe by mid-2017, late part of 2017, you could be fighting for that strap all over again.
Well, that's exactly what I'm planning on doing. Like I said, man, before, we try these things, right? This is big steps what we're making. You know, we try and succeed in life. We try and do better than what we did last time. You know, we hiccup along the way. You trip over, you fall over. You just got to pick yourself back up and just carry on going. You know, you see what you did wrong. You try and change that, and then you just keep going forward.
This will be your first time fighting for Bellator in the UK too. So now that you've definitely grown in popularity, become a world champion, will there be a larger contingent of McGeary fans that will be present in Belfast?
Oh, definitely. You know, I've got friends texting me all over that they're coming. People are booking flights, booking hotels, booking accommodation to stay in. It's going to be great. You know, a lot of my friends they would like to come over to America, but I mean,
right.
It's an expensive flight. They've got things they need to do in England, so it's like commitments. So they can't always make the 6-7 hour flight over. You know, and expense. And normally it's not very often I'm fighting on the East Coast. Most of the time it's on the West Coast, so it's an even longer trip. I've had fans coming over to California to watch the fights, but now it's in Northern Ireland. You know, I got people coming from everywhere. You know, a lot closer to home. Scotland, England, Jersey, Ireland. They're all coming up. Even people from America are coming over to watch.
You know what I really want to hear?
So it's gonna be good fun.
I want to hear that night a McGeary chant, and I don't want the token. There's only one Liam McGeary. There's only one Liam McGeary. You know, I don't want to hear that one. I know they're very creative out there in Europe and in the UK. I watch a lot of soccer, so hopefully they start and create a McGeary chant. By the time you guys are rolling in that main event, that place will be buzzing, and a McGeary chant would really knock it out of the park.
That's why I'm trying to bring all my friends over to watch. I hear that when you go over to Ireland, you get a frosty reception from being an outsider. So I was hoping to bring some of my friends over just to level out the booze.
You're gonna have a good time, man. I know it. And your fights always deliver. You're a finisher. I can't wait. So thanks very much for the time, Liam, on the show, and good luck with the rest of your camp. And we'll be watching on February 24th.
Thanks very much, mate. Take it easy.
Take care, mate. That's Liam McGeary, former light heavyweight champion at Bellator. He's looking to get back on that saddle and make another title run. He is overall 11-1 in the sport, 5 KOs, 5 submissions. Thank you to Dan and Danny and CJ again for making that happen. And that's our show for today, folks. So thank you to Liam McGeary and James Gallagher for appearing on today's show. Tomorrow we'll be joined by Alex Garcia and Jared Brooks. Garcia, man, they're calling him the retirer.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mike Pyle has retired, but I mean he's been blasting some people as of late. And Jared Brooks, of course, has Ian McCall coming up. We might have another guest or two. We'll let you know when you look at that preview every day on the front page of MMA Junkie. So for Mr. Nagy over there and Goes and Danny, I'm George. Go out there, be champions.
It cost me my very last dime.